too, since I got so rudely interrupted by spam on my phone. Anyway, like I said, all these dinosaurs in part 2. Like I said, all these dinosaurs are... All this information is theoretical. It's what the scientists want you to believe. None of it is actual true or factual. It's assumption. It's theoretical, an assumption, and it's logical, maybe analytical, maybe reasoning, maybe rationality is involved, but it's all based off of a reason, logic, and rationality of these dinosaurs being before man, and an evolutionary idea of how things came to exist, and a preconceived, ancient, old, billions of years developing Earth idea. So, when you base your logic on other theories, and you base your logic and reasoning and facts and to support your theory and your hypothesis on other hypotheses, and then you also in some cases base some things off of the natural observance of what you can see, like, okay, the skeleton bones, which they have no 100% complete skeleton bones, just throw that out there, and the skulls of these dinosaurs. They compare those skulls to modern day animals' skulls. And then they go, well, this animal's a meat eater that has a bunch of teeth like this animal. So I'm going to assume this animal is a meat eater too, even though they've never seen this supposed animal that they created based off of all the bones that they found. And they decided, let's play puzzle piece. Let me try to put these bones together, which they have... Here's the fun thing. They have made whole entire assumptions of a whole entire new dinosaur and created it based off of like 2 or 3 bones. How do you do that? You don't. No one is going to take 2 or 3 bones and go, I think that was this weird dinosaur here. No. Okay? You need to even come close to knowing what the creature was or is. You have to have at least, in my opinion, 50%, if not more, of the skeletal structure. Or else you're just going to be like, nah. Or you need previous skeletal structures of the same animal, creature, whatever, to support your claim that, oh, that's a thigh bone of a human being. How do I know that? Because I've seen what a thigh bone of an actual human being already looks like. So I know that's a thigh bone, right? Exactly. That's how the morticians do in the morgue and stuff. They know what the skeletal structure of a human being or a cat or a dog or whatever it is, and that way if they have just one bone of that creature, they can know that came from that creature. Anyway, now we're going to read their theories. None of these periods are correct. They're all made up periods. So Cretaceous period, Tyrannosaurus Rex was a huge and fierce meat eater. His name means king of the tyrant lizards. That's what his name means. They had no reason to name him tyrant. I mean, they didn't know if he was a tyrant or not. His jaws were bigger than a hippo's. I guess they're using the his and the both masculine and feminine tense, where it's his as in theirs, because that's a classic way to use his. Because all animals, if they were able to, to being able to procreate, unless they were asexual, which is very rare, would have to have a male and female. I'm just because there's only two genders biologically. Anyway, and they were filled with long, sharp, deadly teeth. Tyrannosaurus Rex uses powerful jaws to prey on his victims. Allegedly. They never seen one, so they don't know. Again, probably true, but maybe. The giant dinosaur was taller than most giraffes are today. Allegedly. Because they, again, never seen one, and they don't have a complete fossil. A complete skeletal, 100% complete skeletal fossil. With his huge head up that high, Tyrannosaurus Rex could spot his victims from a long distance away. They say that now, but they also have claimed that his eyes in his skull are messed up where he couldn't see that. So make up your mind. What year is this made? 1993. Okay, some modern day scientists refute that claim. They say that the way his eyes are would mess up his peripheral vision. So again, they don't know because they've changed the rules and changed their ideas and changed their opinions. He had 3 long claws on each foot that were sharp as knives. So did a bunch of different dinosaurs. How do you know which dinosaur was which? Based off of a foot bone. You don't. Again, the raptor has the same basic claws, feet as the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Is it possible raptors are actually, I don't know, baby Tyrannosaurus Rexes, and if a raptor lives long enough, it'll grow as big as a Tyrannosaurus Rex? Hey, that's as a valid theory as any of the other theories that they make. Just throw that out there. Anyway. Arms were very short with 2 claws on each hand. Well, how do you know that it even had hands? How do you know that's not another dinosaur that it ate and those bones got stuck into the stomach body area of the T-Rex dinosaur, and now you're assuming that the T-Rex had hands? From all intents and purposes, these hands have literally no use. They're too short to be able to do anything from any point of view. So, what is this? It's messed up. Now, if they were longer hands, or say the thing was a baby as a raptor, and as it grew bigger, the hands gotten shorter and got more pushed into the body as it aged, because this is an adult raptor and a raptor is a child raptor. That's a valid theory too. As it aged, the hands got shorter and they lost the extra claw that's on the raptor claw because they didn't need it anymore, or because they just lost it because years and years of scratching eventually made it lose, and they got bigger and fatter and taller and more adult, and they eventually no longer needed to be able to hunt like raptors, and they could hunt like as a big giant T-Rex where they could just go rah, and use their tail to sideswipe other dinosaurs and knock them to pieces. See, I'm coming up with a brand new theory for y'all. Fresh. T-Rex, raptors, same creature. But they're in different time periods. I just told you they made up the time periods. Shh. Dadgummit. Anyway, where was I? His arms were very... okay, I read that. They may have helped push himself up after lying down. They're so short. How would they... That wouldn't work. There's another dinosaur. There's other dinosaurs that they've described that are just like T-Rex, but they don't have the hands too. They're probably the same dinosaur. They just didn't find the daggum hand bones or arm bones. At least they're being honest right here, where they say Tyrannosaurus Rex was thought. That means they don't know. Thought to have weighed 7 tons, which is much more than an elephant, which weighs about 1 to 2 tons sometimes. Okay, this is gonna be a long video. I'm gonna do another video where I actually unbox it and don't talk about all these dinosaurs. How does that sound? Y'all like that idea? Cool. So it's gonna be a part 3. Anyway, Stegosaurus, the Jurassic period. Stegosaurus means roof lizard. Why? Because its spikes looks like roofing shingles. That's why. That's literally why they named it. Roofed lizard. It looks like old roofing shingles that were on old buildings. Because they used to put stone roofing shingles on buildings. And the roofs would last. Now they put shingles that die. So basically, your roof used to be tiled like your bathroom. Castles were built with stones. Even the roofs of the castles were, again, built with stones. And if you go find some old architectural stuff from back in the day, you will see that there are still stones on the roof. Because that's how they built them. And that's why, again, they named it that. Because they're little stones on their backs that could have just been stones. They don't know if they were parts of the dinosaur or not. But they assume, because they were next to the bones, that, and they're just as old as the bones, through the dating system that is an incorrect dating system that scientists created to date stuff, because neither one of them is accurate. Because the only way to have a true accurate dating system is for all dating systems to date the same. If one dating system messes up another dating system, you don't have an accurate dating system. If one dating system claims that the other dating system is got a different date, and vice versa, you don't have a good dating system. And that's why the carbon dating and the, I think it's either nuclear, they use carbon, nuclear, and another type of radiation to date things. And if you use one or the other, it'll mess up the other two. And none of the three actually add up to the same when you do date. And they all give you dates within this point to that point time. None of them give you an exact date. And thus, the dating system is not very scientific. It's theoretical. Oh, wow. Wow, I just told you that, and then I'm going to read you what they said. He was given that name because the plates on his neck, back, and tail were like a roof. Yeah, and I just explained to you why that's the case. They protected Stegosaurus from his enemies. Maybe. Because he may have not even had those, like I just said. Stegosaurus needed protection because he was very slow. His back legs were twice as long as his front legs. That made it hard for him to run. Are you sure about that? Because there are some animals... See, that's not exactly true. Because we have now discovered that there are animals that have longer hind legs and shorter front legs, and they can run pretty fast. And they can leap, because they can use their hind legs to back, leap, and then run fast. So this is theoretical. They're claiming, well, it was probably slow because its hind legs are too long compared to its short legs. And that probably mean it couldn't run fast. That's all assumption. We have animals that are like the Stegosaurus and they can run fast. So, again, or they can at least leap. And they can leap in some pretty far distances. So, again, all theory, all suggestion, all assumption. And this is also an inaccurate theory right here. It says Stegosaurus was a slow thinker, and the reason they want to base this is because his brain was the size of a walnut. They've actually have proven with the human brain that the size of the brain does not affect the intelligence of the person. They've already proven this in neuroscience. So this has been defeated by neuroscience. The size of the brain does not affect the intelligence of the creature. Neuroscience has already disproven this. So, boom! Disproven. This is a pretty small for a creature bigger than an elephant. But again, elephants are pretty stupid. So, if elephants are pretty stupid, and they have a big brain, and some other animals are really intelligent that have small brains, and neuroscience has proven that it doesn't matter what the size of the brain is on the intelligence factor of the creature, your theory here is old news and bad. So, sorry, but it's wrong. Stegosaurus was a plant eater. At least theoretically it was a plant eater. And the reason for this is because of the skull. His mouth looked like a beak in front. So they're assuming, since it looked like a beak, it was a plant eater like other animals that have beaks, such as birds, for example. But if you think about it, whatever you throw in a chicken cage, they will eat. So it was probably a grazer, more like a grazer, which doesn't necessarily mean it was plant eater. It just means it ate anything on the ground, like a goat. It was probably a grazer. Grazing animals will eat everything on the ground. They will even eat rocks off the ground. If you throw meat on the ground, they will eat it. So that doesn't prove they're plant eaters. That proves that they're mostly plant eaters. Their appetite's not specifically designed to eat anything other than plants, but they will eat it. So, yeah. Throw some meat in a chicken cage. They'll eat it. Trust me. They'll eat it. I've seen it. I've done it. It's also because of the idea that it had small, weak teeth. But birds that have beaks, some of them eat fish, and they have no teeth, and they have small, weak teeth. So again, having a beak, based off of nature's creatures that have beaks, that does not stop them from eating meat. Matter of fact, sometimes a beak being sharp enough can actually be a better tool to eat meat than sharp claws and sharp teeth. Try getting pecked by some birds. They'll peck the meat off of you. Yeah. So, again, this stuff is... Nature disproves everything that this just said. Anyway. But he did not need sharp teeth to bite his enemies because he had a very sharp spikes on his tail which he could swing at them. That only works if he had a long tail, though. With this picture right here, it looks like he doesn't have that much of a long tail. If he had a short tail, swinging wouldn't do much of a good. If he had a long tail like a Brachiosaurus, swinging would do good. Also, it wouldn't matter if you had a really long, strong tail. you wouldn't need spikes on the tail to help you swing and attack other creatures. A really long, strong tail would work just as a really long, strong tail. Like strength of a tree trunk, which, again, is described in Job with Behemoth, the behemoth creature, which some young creationists and young earth scientists and biblical scientists believe that the behemoth described in the Bible is this, the Brachiosaurus, which according to, and there's been proof that the Brachiosaurus exists today because there's Mola Membrae, which I believe is in Africa, and then there's another one in South America. Look it up. They found him. They found this creature in the remote jungles of the Nile, of the Amazon, and the Africa, and the Savannah deserts, and all those. They found them. They might not exist now because someone may have hunted them out into extinction, but they have newspaper articles, they have people describing the creature, they have historical evidence that they existed at the same time as man. They have people describing the creature and an artist doing artist renderings, and bam, that's what it looks like. Bam. Anyway, Brachiosaurus, so it definitely was not in the Jurassic period because of that proof. Brachiosaurus is one of the biggest dinosaurs that ever lived. He was as tall as a 4-story building and weighed as much as 50 cars. That depends on the cars. I mean, some of these modern day cars are so lightweight that it might be 100 cars nowadays. That's a terrible way to measure things. Say it weighed as much as 50 cars. Well, now I have to know how much a car weighs. Different cars weigh different amounts. Why didn't you just tell us how many tons it may have been? That's an easier way to measure things. You did that with T-Rex. You said he was about 7 tons. So if this thing's bigger than T-Rex, this thing's maybe 10, 15 tons maybe. I don't know. That would have been a lot easier to describe. Brachiosaurus was a plant eater. He had a long neck like a giraffe. True. And long front legs. Both of these things helped him feed on the leaves and branches at the tops of the trees. It also would help him graze. If you think about it, the same long neck can help you reach plants on the highest trees, could also help you graze plants as far as your neck is away, especially if you had ability to practically 180 to 360 degree rotate your neck. But I'm not saying you could rotate it a complete 360, because I don't think any creature has the ability to do that. Actually, wait. They do. There are animals who can actually rotate their neck a full 360. But they can't. Technically, it's a 355. It looks like a 360, but a true 360 would mean you could continuously rotate your neck. And they can't do that, but they can rotate it where it's almost all the way around. Almost all the way around. But then they have to pull it back to straighten it up. So there are creatures that can almost rotate their neck a 360. So it really wouldn't make much of a difference. A long neck could also have helped them clean themselves. Because, you know, they have this long tail on the back. Maybe they need to be able to clean their toes, their pits, you know, different things. I'm just saying. The long neck has way more functions than just reaching the top of the trees. Anyway, we're going back to... Okay, let's see here. Who says other dinosaurs couldn't reach the top of the trees? Some dinosaurs could fly. They can reach the top of the trees. Other dinosaurs may have been able to climb on top of a Brachiosaurus and reach the top of the trees. You don't know that. Because Brachiosaurus was so big, he was very slow. Again, you don't know that. There's no equivalence to slow, big equals slow. That's just a theory. There are some pretty big people that if they... I've seen them. Okay, we have some obese people in America, right? But you start shooting guns, and them fat folks gonna run. There's no correlation to fat equals slow or big equals slow. You give the right incentive and big people will run fast. So again, this is just all speculation and theoretical. None of it is accurate. I'm debunking it with logic. But he did not have to worry too much about running away from the meat eaters. He was twice as big as his enemies. Just because... Okay, that makes no sense. First of all, you say, oh, he was slow, but he was so big that nobody wanted to mess with him. That's not how nature works. Predators like to go after the slow, weak, big things intentionally because it's easier to pick off. So you just contradict yourself based off of actual nature. A lion doesn't go after the fastest gazelle. It goes after the slow, weak, fattest gazelle because predators don't want to use a whole lot of energy to actually catch their prey. That's inefficient. That's why hunters do everything they can to cheat and make it harder for them to actually make it easier for them to catch the animal. Which in my opinion is not a sport then. If it's not hard to catch an animal, then it's not really a sport in my opinion. That's just me. Yes, you're hunting, but you're hunting for food. You're not sportsmen. You're not hunting for sport. If you want to hunt for sport, hunt and deer hunters. I challenge you, if you really want to hunt for sport, learn how to ride a horse, get a spear, and see if you can catch a deer with the spear from your horse. I challenge you. Now, that would be hunting for sport. Triceratops. The Cretaceous period. Why is Triceratops named Triceratops? Well, it's because it has the 3 horns. That's basically, that's probably what it's fixing to tell us. Oh, it decided not to tell us that? Oh, wow. Okay. Triceratops was a huge dinosaur. He could weigh up to 6 tons. And his head was 6 feet long. That's the size of a grown man. But they have found skulls of smaller ones. So they're talking about an adult-sized Triceratops. And also, there are all kinds of different creatures that have the exact same skull as the Triceratops. And my theory is that the horns work like deer horns. Some only have the 1 horn. Some have the 3 horns. And then some have various different spikes on this skull here. My theory is the Triceratops kind of works like deer horns. Their horns grow as they age. I'm not sure if they grow a new horn every year like a deer, like the deer's spikes grow, but that's my theory. That's my theory of the Triceratops. That way, all the sauropods, because that's what they're commonly referred to, sauropods. All the sauropods in my opinion, are the same creature. And they have different kinds of horns. And the reason they have different kinds of horns, in my opinion, my theory is, one, they're like deers. The different antlers, they grow different antlers, different spikes for age, as it ages. My second theory is that sauropods got in fights with other sauropods to show dominance, plus they got in fights to defend themselves against other meat-eating dinosaurs. And in some cases of getting in a fight, you're going to damage your horns, possibly even lose said horns in fights. And that's why in some cases you find some without horns. That's my theory. All the same creature. One dinosaur. Not multiple hundreds of different ones. Just because, we're going to create a new dinosaur because we found a new sauropod and he has 12 horns. And this one has 13. That one has 17. That one has 25. Shh. It's all the same damn dinosaur. Shh. Stop creating new dinosaurs just so you can go, I discovered a new dinosaur. Shh. Damn scientists. Just admit that they're all the same dinosaur. It makes more sense. Anyway, back to the reading. Triceratops had one small horn near his nose. That's the one I'm thinking that's the baby horn, the first one that grows, and then the rest keep growing. And one long, sharp horn over each eye, which maybe helps protect the eyeballs. If you think about that, those horns coming out right in front of your eyes might protect the Triceratops from it could shade the eyeballs from the sun and possibly protect the eyes from stuff falling down and getting into his eyes. That's a pretty good designed creature right there. God knew what he was doing, is making those sauropods. That means he did not attack other dinosaurs unless he was attacked first. That's a theory. You don't know that. If the horns were long enough, you could be attacking other dinosaurs. My theory is they grew. Like fingernails? I think the horns grew like fingernails. So they would grow longer. That's my theory. Anyway. Because they have found different Triceratops with different horns, lengths of horns. If a meat eater decided to try to have a Triceratops for a meal, he was up for a tough fight. Triceratops could use his sharp horns, beak, and teeth to defend himself. Triceratops was one of the last dinosaurs to live on the planet Earth. Not true. Not true. Because, again, there are creatures that have existed to this day that look like this one, and even this one. So, not true. Matter of fact, this is the type of dinosaur, the sauropod is the type of dinosaur that is described in ancient Chinese writings as dragons. And there used to be dragon tamers for the emperors. They had baby sauropods. Look it up. Oh, but like I said, don't take my word for it. Look it up. Look up dinosaurs at time of man. You'll go through all kinds of crazy rabbit hole if you start. Get on YouTube, you'll go through a rabbit hole. You will go through a rabbit hole. You will get people with all kinds of weird theories. I base mine off of nature and young Earth creationists. But there are people who base the dinosaurs off of other things other than young Earth scientists. You'll get some theological stuff, and then you'll get some other scientist stuff. But you will find historical evidence and proof of dragons, monsters, sea creatures, etc. that are described as dinosaurs. Dimetrodon, Triassic period. Dimetrodon was a meat-eating reptile. Actually, Dimetrodon was probably just a bigger giant lizard. We have these guys. These guys exist right now. They're called Komodo dragons. Why a Komodo dragon doesn't have its little fan thing, I have no idea. But for some reason, a lot of the lizards we have nowadays don't have the fan thing, and they're in various different sizes. So this creature right here is basically still around. Have you ever gone seeing a Komodo dragon? This is a Komodo dragon, just with a giant fan thing put to it. And they are both meat eaters and plant eaters, technically. His name means two sizes of teeth. He uses long front teeth for attack. He uses back teeth to chew the meat up. The Dimetrodon had long spines on his back that were covered with skin. How do you know that? How do you even know that the spines on the back were not some kind of man-added adaptation that they put on the Dimetrodons for, I don't know, shielding purposes? Maybe people trained Dimetrodons, which Komodo dragons, and they built shields on them and, literally somehow sewed the shields onto the Dimetrodon and then used these Dimetrodons to ride on and then use them, in battle to have shields so that bow and arrows didn't attack the guys behind the Dimetrodon shield. That is a legitimate, perfectly good theory that I just created. You do not know that. You weren't there. The sail on this fan thing that I'm talking about. Dimetrodon was cold-blooded. Well, that's because most lizards are cold-blooded. Yeah. This means he needed to warm up before he could move fast. His sail helped him to catch the sun's rays so he could warm up quickly. That's a theory. They've never proven that theory. They keep saying that, but there's no proof to that. There's no animal in the world, even cold-blooded animals. There's no cold-blooded lizard that needs a sail to do that. There has to be another reason for the sail, because every cold-blooded animal creature that exists that's a lizard today, they warm up by just being in the sun. They do not need a sail. So there's no reason to have this sail except for the one I created. The reason that I created. People built these sails and put them on the dead-gum blasted Komodo dragon creatures, and they was using them as shields, and when they died in battle, they just left their dead carcasses there and the built thing that they built on them, and they must have used other dinosaur bones or something to build these shield things. Because they didn't use wood, because wood would have either petrified and be stone, and they would know the difference between stone and wood, and petrified wood and bone. They would know the difference. So they must have used other dinosaur bones to make the scales. And that way, now the scientists later down the line go, "Hey, I found this dinosaur. It looks like a Komodo dragon, but for some reason it has this weird fan over it. It must be a dinosaur." Get real. Come up with some other theories. Because theories are just that. Theories. They haven't been proven one way or another. They're theories. Anyway, watch part 3 where I actually unbox this video finally. Because I just talked for 40 minutes about the back of the box of the dinosaurs and debunking with logic, historical other stuff, and actual observance of nature, some of the junk and garbage that they just said with their theories. And even come up with my own counter theories. Comment down below what you think about some of my counter theories. Yeah, and have a great day. Gonna be 3 parts. I'm gonna take a break and go drink something because my throat's getting dry after talking for 40 freaking minutes.